This is the first tutorial for 3B Part 1, where you're asked to print a form for Campervan 006 before any calculations are made. Now this is really useful because the form that we're going to create, it says create a form that includes the data from figure 3.1, includes quite a lot of calculations, and you can see here all of these here are calculations. This total charge rate here is a calculation, and so is this charge rate. Now this just helps because some of these calculations will be quite difficult, particularly the charge rate, and so you might find these too difficult. If you're not that A grade, B grade, C grade, star flyer, some of these might be a little bit difficult for you, and that's fine. The advantage of doing this first is that you can actually get marks for the form without doing the calculations. And it might be that in the real coursework you can have that opportunity as well, and so it's always worth printing off a copy at this stage to show what you can do, rather than just saying, oh well, I can't do the calculation so I won't bother printing the form at all. Print what you've done. So if we have a look at this, we're going to miss out all of these here. We're not going to bother looking at those at all. But we have got to look just very briefly at the charge rate. Now, yes, it can be added as a calculation later, but the problem with that is this. When we need to do the total charge rate, we need to be able to sum all of these percentages. Now, to do a sum of those in a subform, which is what we're going to use, these have to be recognized fields. And the only way we can do that is to set them up as a separate field in a query, as a calculated field in a query. If we try to do it as a calculated text box in the form, we can't do a sum of them. So we need to create a query first for that, and that's what this first part of the tutorial is going to be about. It's going to be about setting that up, and so we just need to be aware of what we're going to be doing here. All these other things, like customizing the form and doing these calculations, come later on. Okay, so it's part 2 and part 3 about the customization, including the photographs, and part 4 is about the queries and the calculations that are going to be used to create the form. So let's go through what we need to do. So first of all, we need a query that is going to join together the installation and equipment table to give us all of this data, and that we can put in a calculation at the end here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a query, and we're going to create that query in design view. Now we're going to use the installation table and the equipment table. Okay, now just put these the other way around because it's the installation of the equipment, so it makes more sense to have them that way around. Now if we have a look at the question, again, let's look at the data that we need. We need the description, the standard, the install date, the type, chargeable and charge rate. We also need the campervan because we need to be able to link it to the campervan when we create the form. So we're going to have the campervan ID, we need to have the install date, we don't need the equipment ID, type and chargeable, and then we need to have the description and the standard. The category wasn't part of the question. So let's have a look at that so far, and this is what we've got. We've got all that data in there. Now the difficulty is, as I said, is getting this in, the charge rate. So what we're actually going to do is we're just going to create a charge rate calculated field. So I'm going to call it charge rate, and I'm going to put colon, right, because that then says this is what it will be. I'm just going to put 0, and that just means it will calculate every charge rate as 0 for now, so we haven't got to worry about it, but it does mean that we now get a charge rate included on the form, and we'll be able to set the calculation later. So what we're going to do is I'm going to save this query, and I'm going to call it equipment installations, because that's what it is. It's the installations of the equipment installations. So I've now prepared all the data that we need, so the next part of this tutorial will take you through creating the actual form itself.